Firstly, I'm devastated. Not so much as devastated as with the loss that I am about the people behind the decision, feeling as though this is okay. Is it a win for them?
Lately, whispers have turned into a full-blown royal crisis. Reports claim that the UK Parliament and even King Charles III himself are preparing to strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal titles. In the blink of an eye, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex could be reduced from His or Her Royal Highness down to plain old Mr. and Mrs. Markle, a move that would disrupt the Commonwealth and the tabloids like never before. In one recent viral BBC News interview clip, Harry even said something that insiders say finally pushed Prince William over the edge.
There have been so many disagreements, differences between me and some of my family. This current situation that has been ongoing for 5 years with regard to human life and safety is the sticking point. It is the only thing that's left.
All across London and beyond, journalists and royal watchers are scrambling to confirm. Could William really be calling the shots on this? Is Parliament dusting off an archaic law to de-honor a once-cherished prince? And where does King Charles stand amid this brewing constitutional drama? First, let's focus on Prince William. According to some insiders, the Duke of Cambridge is quietly fuming over his younger brother's latest salvos. An explosive story this spring quoted a friend of William's saying, "The Prince of Wales has been planning this revenge for some time." When Harry publicly joked that King Charles might be near the end of his life right after a highly sensitive cancer diagnosis, William reportedly saw it as a final straw. The insider source even claimed if William wanted any reconciliation, he'd have done nothing. But the HRH will go referring to Harry and Meghan styles. In other words, William is allegedly determined to make Harry pay one way or another. And it seems he'll wield every royal tool at his disposal. And it gets juicier than this. Gossip columns say that William has been quietly lobbying MPs and courtiers to back any measures that will strip the Sussexes of perks. Tories like Bob Seeley tell friends they've had midnight phone calls with William's aides, and other MPs hear rumor of a smoke-filled room meeting at Buckingham Palace to coordinate a response. The picture painted by insiders is downright cinematic. Imagine William in his study, anger in his eyes, telling privy councillors, "I'm going to fix this." We can't have him playing both sides. Some speculate he's even building a dossier of Harry's offenses labeled high treason against monarchy. The key line from one source is that William has lost it at all of this. He's been pushing to use any means to neutralize his brother's royal influence. If those accounts are true, William might well be the man pulling the strings behind these title-stripping schemes. One small but telling detail leaked from social media has stoked William's rage, a seemingly innocuous Instagram post. In early May, Meghan's business friend posted a celebratory basket of beauty products and labeled it HRH the Duchess of Sussex. For William, who agreed with Harry in 2020 that they would stop using the HRH titles, that tiny caption was an open provocation. Press fans even chimed in. These 3 letters have reignited tensions at the heart of the monarchy. After fans spotted it, whether it was a marketing slip-up or a deliberate jab, the effect was the same. William reportedly saw it as Meghan flaunting her status, and sources say it infuriated him. According to an insider, that gift and the hashtag blunder was seen as a violation of the Queen's wishes. Plotting this out, William has been quietly whispering into the ears of sympathetic MPs. Another source reveals that William thinks Harry has been absolutely vile with these assaults on the family, and that within hours of certain news clips airing, William was texting Seeley and others, "Get it done." Some believe William has also enlisted sympathetic media magnates to plant stories and drag Harry in the press, all to build public support for stripping those titles. It sounds like the script for a royal revenge thriller. But if even a sliver of this is true, the Prince of Wales has turned from the conciliatory big brother into a man on a mission, and Harry and Meghan are right in his crosshairs. This is when the Parliament came in.
I want to start with this hilarious story. Apparently, palace officials have been trying their hardest to strip Harry of his titles, but Charles has been denying them the opportunity.
Westminster's corridors are ablaze with talk of a legal nuclear option. Remember that Titles Deprivation Act of 1917? This dusty World War I-era law gave Britain the power to yank titles from royals who betrayed the crown. King George V used it to strip the British throne of any German ties, even changing the family name to Windsor to hide those roots. Now, conspiracists claim someone in Parliament wants to dust off exactly that act. Not for war heroes but for Harry and Meghan. This is no small rumor. In late 2023, Conservative MP Bob Seeley explicitly said he planned to introduce a Titles Deprivation Act amendment targeting the Sussexes. In plain language, he said, if someone doesn't want to be royal, they should not keep the titles and privileges if they trash an institution that plays an important part in our nation's life.
I think, Julia, it's insidious and creepy, and at very least I'd like an explanation from Coots what they were doing, and if there's grounds for the government to go after them, I think we should. I think their behaviour is absolutely appalling.
Seeley called it the nuclear option, and insiders suggest his ambitious next move is quietly racing through draft stages, perhaps even being discussed in private meetings of the Privy Council. If this bill, or a similar removal of titles bill, ever passed, it could give the king an almost automatic way to annul the Sussex's HRH status and dukedom. Even without invoking the century-old law, there are whispers that some MPs are drawing up a brand new special titles bill. Think tanks indicate that such legislation would allow Parliament and effectively the monarch to list any royal deemed disloyal or scandalous and instantly strip them of rank. The Department of Culture has been buzzing about drafting an order to review royal titles, and one source claims a draft was circulated to select MPs under the counter. On the streets, activists have started a House of Lords petition demanding an inquest into stripping royal titles. As of this writing, the petition has tens of thousands of signatures and has been posted by at least 2 vocal lords. If one of them were to mention Harry by name in the House, Parliament could be forced to debate it. Consider how unprecedented this is. Parliament has essentially only used its power to remove titles in wartime. The last actual use of the 1917 Act was after World War I, when British cousins of the Kaiser were cut loose. Never before has it been publicly floated for domestic family drama. Yet the plot thickens. Some Tory aides assure the King's ministers that public support is on their side. Others worry it's dangerously personal.
Inaccuracies and lies. It was hugely damaging to the royal family. And if you actually believe in the royal family, as I do, and you think Britain's one of Britain's most important.
Parliament loves a spectacle, said a veteran MP off the record. But this will go down as one for the history books if it happens. In reality, any formal process would be complex. Technically, removing a dukedom which was granted by letters patent in 2018 would require Parliament. But removing the style His or Her Royal Highness could be done via a new letter patent from the King. The speculated bills would essentially give Charles that go-ahead, either by letting the King act on his own or by setting up a parliamentary committee to advise it. The juicy rumor on everyone's lips is that a secret parliamentary committee might be convened, perhaps with cross-party backing, to list offences by Harry and Meghan. After 40 days of consideration, the King could then sign off on a certificate removing their HRH. That certificate has to be laid before both houses. But if a majority sits on its hands, the titles are gone for good. It's intense stuff, and insiders hint they're preparing for a snap vote whenever Harry's next interview airs. All this capitulates to one looming question. Will Parliament really intervene in what's supposed to be a matter for the monarch? Of course, legally, only an act of Parliament can directly rescind a royal title. But right now, the noise level is so high that reality feels like a side note. What about King Charles, though? Why is he so quiet so publicly? The King has been his usual composed self. After Harry's latest explosive interview, Buckingham Palace issued nothing more than the boilerplate statement that it is a private family matter. In more high-profile sagas like university press inquiries, Charles has tiptoed like a diplomat. Right now, with his health battle ongoing, he's not in the mood for any public drama. In state photos, he wore his best smile and clasped the Unity Day ribbon, but it feels like a veneer. But insiders claim that behind palace gates, it's a different story. One senior royal watcher confided that the King is livid. Make no mistake, he's deeply hurt by Harry's comments about him, especially dragging his illness into the spotlight. Another commentator even said Charles's trust in Harry is now shattered beyond repair. The King apparently felt horrified when Harry discussed his health on camera. Another aide suggests Charles feels betrayed not just by Harry's slams on the monarchy but by turning royals into celebrity fodder for profit. Even so, Charles isn't publicly lashing out. Rather, he is playing the long game. High-level whispers say that he has not blocked William's maneuvering. In fact, some intimate sources claim Charles gave an almost conspiratorial green light to William's plan. He's angry, but he's also pragmatic. Why create a deeper rift when William can handle it? He quietly told the team, "Let Parliament do its work." In short, the King is letting others pull the trigger while he stands ready to sign officially. Of course, there are other voices claiming that Charles might still hope for peace. Perhaps he finds William's vendetta too extreme or fears the monarchy will look heartless. Some royal aides insist he's urging caution, reminding William that family unity should come first. But at the end of the day, these are simply Westminster gossip and palace game playing. The only thing for sure is that Charles has so far not publicly intervened to stop these designs, and his silence is speaking volumes. If he truly wants the titles gone, he'd do it without fanfare. But what about all the public backlash? Back on the street level, Britain has truly turned this into a circus. Tabloid headlines blare daily that Prince Harry is now seen as public enemy number one, and Meghan is America's biggest royal grifter. Not to mention they're all joking about the whole Harry and Meghan situation too. For weeks now, social media has exploded with themes. One shows Harry kneeling before Parliament. Another photoshops the children's heads on corgis. Hashtags like Sussex Strike Force and Strip the Sussex have trended in both the UK and the US. Live streams of members of Parliament actually outraged by title envy have gone viral. Meanwhile, public opinion polls are feeding the fire. A new UK survey suggests up to 6 in 10 Britons now support stripping Harry of his duke. Figures like that would dwarf anything we've seen in modern royal polling. Older generations are especially unforgiving. One poll highlighted that Britons over 65 dislike the Sussexes even more than they detest disgraced Prince Andrew. Only 27% of the public view Prince Harry favorably now, compared to over 70% for Prince William. Meghan's popularity is similarly underwater, with merely 1 in 5 Brits liking her. In short, the numbers look dire for the couple. They've become a less-than-cosmopolitan brand in their motherland. Critics are quick to demand retribution. The British press has fully embraced this drama. One paper ran an editorial praising any move to punish Harry for his insults to the Queen and King. Another joyfully rebranded the Titles Deprivation Act as a necessary royal purge. Even traditionally reserved papers published opinion pieces warning that the Crown cannot survive endless self-immolation by its own cover boy. In short, nearly all of Britain's tabloids and broadsheets are circling the wagons. On morning talk shows, pundits one after another declare it's a done deal, often without actually knowing a vote has taken place.
A staggering 2/3 of Brits are calling for Harry and Meghan to be stripped of their HRH title.
Internationally, allies and media moguls are weighing in too. One controversial figure publicly called on Charles to do the right thing and strip Harry and Meghan of their royal ranks. Commentators in the media have been running back-to-back segments detailing every angle. One commentator even said this feud is damaging Charles's reign. American late-night hosts have even started including this in their monologues. One quip went, "Your turn, Queen." On Twitter, hashtags like #Royal Bloodbath swirl, with Brits gleefully discussing Harry's predicament. Of course, there's no shortage of experts with opinions. Some constitutional lawyers grumble about the legal impossibility of such a move, but royal watchers dismiss them as killing the buzz. Spin doctors, whether paid by Kensington or not, have been tight-lipped. That only fuels rumors. "The silence is maddening," moans one royal correspondent. Another Hollywood insider has been canvassed for quotes like, "What took so long?" In short, the mob mentality is in full swing. Public outrage at the Sussexes for betraying their birthright has reached a fever pitch. But then there's also the financial fallout. If Harry and Meghan end up stripped of titles, the financial and brand impact could be catastrophic for the Sussex empire. Just think about their media deals. The couple signs splashy multi-million-dollar contracts with streaming platforms based largely on their royal identity and public intrigue. Now, imagine executives watching tonight's headlines and wondering if the Sussex stories will still have any pull if Harry is just Mr. Markle. Would viewers really tune into a Meghan cooking series or a Harry documentary if the lead star is no longer royal? If public goodwill collapses, platforms might hesitate to release existing projects or renew future ones. We might see them quietly shove the planned biography, fearing poor ratings in the UK. Other deals too could face backlash. That massive podcast deal was already controversial. If Harry loses his HRH style, advertisers might get cold feet. Even the mention of his earlier contract could become a punchline. What was anyone thinking about giving millions to an ex-prince? In a worst-case tabloid scenario, sponsors might use morality clauses to walk away. A prominent media analyst joked that Harry's paycheck could be paused until public outrage cools down. Again, we have no guarantees, but the sense is that every dollar Harry or Meghan was set to earn as royalty is at risk.